Hello all, as we enter a new year, I thought I'd do something I've not done on my channel before and do a yearly roundup vlog. Coming up, I'll cover some of the highs and lows of this year's content, as well as clear some air with regards some past and present partners, the folks who send stuff for review and provide affiliate programs and all that, so stick around to hear me get salty. 2024 was a funny one for me with regards to YouTube, as I ended 2023 considering quitting YouTube to concentrate solely on my furniture. The furniture hit a bit of a roadblock I'll speak briefly about later for those interested, but as it turned out, 2024 ended up seeing my first meaningful attempt to post a video every week. It ended up being more like 3 videos a month, but still the most committed and consistent I've ever been, yet in terms of views per video and earnings, my worst year ever. This despite having a steadily increasing subscriber base. I don't know if it's changes with YouTube and its dreaded algorithms, or I'm just irredeemably rubbish at this lark. Probably the latter, but let's have a look at some of the highs and lows in this year's content and what I've learnt from it. I started the year with a machine I was sent by Shapak, the OSM 600 oscillating belt sander. The good folks at Shapak reached out, having seen my review some years previous of the digital DP50 or DP60 as it's now known. The review didn't end well, but I was assured by the rep that they even find critical reviews valuable as they can help them develop and improve products. Great attitude, I thought. I wasn't happy with the OSM 600 sander either, mainly due to the belt backer being all over the place, not flat. I fixed that in a subsequent video, and with that sorted, was quite positive about the machine in the end. I didn't hear another word from Shapak, so they clearly weren't happy, despite their overtures about respecting critical reviews. Shame really, there were a couple of other workshop bits they did I thought worth a look at, but I guess I killed that relationship before it really got a chance to blossom. Oh well. Moving on to February, I did a workshop build that had a bit of a viral bump. This was part 1 of my modular plywood workshop cabinet. As a necessity, it was made from salvaged ply rips to make a super light cabinet frame that was extremely efficient on material use. I got my usual 1 to 2,000 views for such videos on my channel in the first few days, and then, out of nowhere, got an extra 25,000 views. I've no idea what happened, but I suspect it was shared or embedded on a third-party site of some sort and maybe autoplaying. I suspect that because, despite the view count, the watch time was appallingly low. Now I've no time for clickbait thumbnails, and the video had the nearest I'd done to one as it proclaimed a material saving of up to 62%. It was true, so not clickbait, but did read like clickbait. Maybe that had something to do with the view count, but I hope not. I was really happy with both part 1 and part 2 of that build though. A speedy, simple, efficient build that I love to have in the shop. Do watch them if you haven't already. This process of using plywood scraps ripped down to make workshop furniture finished with hardwood leftovers became a bit of a theme of the year, as I went on to produce a step stool, clamp rack and sliding door wall cabinet for the shop using the same process. Given my previous for perhaps unnecessarily complicating my workshop builds, it made for a nice breather creating these simple but I think aesthetically pleasing additions. Now it wouldn't be a Bish Bash Bosh channel without a few hacks, and 2024 was no different. The hacks most meaningful and useful to me were based around my MFT fence system. It was, for me, a vast improvement in terms of stiffness, particularly for the under rail support of the Bench Dogs original. Now talking of Bench Dogs, the keen-eyed may have noticed my channel is now almost completely free of reviews and affiliate links for their gear. We had a good working relationship once, and one I was proud of, them being a British company and all. I think I may have been among, if not the first, to promote their products, having purchased them some 8 years ago or more. They even started making the dog collars after I made a video showing me making some of my own for their guardrail dogs. But as the company grew, and I'm happy to see them grow and become the company they are now, I was no longer considered for reviews as they partnered with bigger YouTubers. Now that's just business and I get it. What made me ditch the reviews of their products from the channel is they, unannounced, made changes to their affiliate program using a third party I wasn't signed up to, meaning I was getting loads of notifications of qualifying affiliate sales and getting zero kickback. The amount of money was negligible, it was just the principle of the matter. Just felt a bit like being stiffed after supporting them from their humble beginnings. Be under no illusion people, product manufacturers get a much better deal out of influencers and YouTubers than we get from them. The advertising for them is worth a lot, and they wouldn't get it anywhere else for any cheaper. I think a lot of companies would do well to remember that. Anyway, to go with my improved fence, I created a new type of micro adjustable flip stop using solid alley round bar. Really sturdy, easy to use and look kinda cool I think. These wouldn't be a bad product, but I've no plans to go down that route again for a while yet. This fence setup, along with the pull-out guide rail, mean I'm finally 100% happy with my MFT cutting setup. A new company I worked with this year, which was refreshingly straightforward by contrast, was Basecamp. They sent me one of their cloth type dust masks to review and I wasn't expecting much of it. However, it's now become my go-to. Really comfortable even for extended periods, doesn't get soaking wet from your breath, and with the little nose sponges won't fog up your eyewear. A real surprise for me these. Their follow-up communication has been good, they pay out affiliate sales of any amount, no arbitrary ceilings or third party used, and they even sent me a Christmas present, one of their rather nicely made baseball caps. I wear these all the time anyway, so I'm well happy with that. Expect to see it making appearances atop my bonds in videos next year. If only every company was as easy to work with. On that topic, shall we talk about Banggood then? It's a funny one. I've been working with them about as long as I've been working with Benchdogs. But while Benchdogs has grown exponentially, Banggood have seemingly shrunk. Year after year, it seems their product lines shrink. Have any of you noticed that? Honestly, I'm not sure how long they'll last. Perhaps being forced out by AliExpress, Temu and dropshippers on eBay and Amazon. They have though, over the years, been very good to work with, in terms of discussing products to review, and all the affiliate stuff being in-house, so nice and straightforward. Them being so generous has meant I was able to offer a couple more giveaways this year, something I really like to do, but I don't think I'll be doing any more as, for whatever reason, the giveaways aren't that popular. It's been interesting to watch the offerings from China develop. When I did my first Banggood review all those years ago, it was more a novelty, all metal tools for pence on the pound, if not always that well thought out or finished. I still use some of the original lot today. Companies like Ganway and Enjoy Wood are upping their game though. Not cheap tools like they once were, but very reasonably priced, well thought out and well finished tools. Then of course we have Hongdui Tools, a company that has gone from generally producing knockoffs like the Kerf Maker a few years ago to some seriously premium and innovative tools they've come out with in the last couple of years. I've been lucky enough to be supplied a good deal of them via Banggood. Their marking gauge I reviewed in July was phenomenal. The only thing I can think comes close to it would be the Jessam Wood Sabre marking gauge in terms of build quality. The Jessam has the advantage of a micro adjust, but it uses a wheel which for many marking tasks I don't really like. I prefer the scoring knives on the Hongdui. Really is a pick'em. Now, if Hongdui were to add micro adjust to their gauge, well that'd be game over. Another highlight, and the most recent, was the Hongdui honing guide. What an absolute weapon, both exquisite and about the most versatile honer out there. Do check out the video reviews for the full lowdown. An honourable mention must go out to the Hongdui highlight of late 2023, the router plane, but this year's highlight was probably the one I looked at in February, the KS22 mitre gauge fence. I was using the Incra before that, but preferred the Hongdui hands down. The Hongdui just ticked all my use case boxes, is practical and, as ever, beautifully built. That it led me to ditch my Incra setup seemed to trigger a lot of American viewers and even a UK based Incra distributor. For me, the decision was entirely practical, and I did buy my Incra kit with my own money, so if anything was going to replace it, it had to be pucker. Many comments I had to delete because they were straight up rude and offensive, and all too many were just political nonsense. Some even going so far as to tell me China is my enemy, so I shouldn't be dealing with them. Can you believe the hubris of such comments? A comment section on a small woodworking channel is no place to spew your spoon-fed propaganda talking points. God knows there's already enough echo chambers for that on the internet, but this channel isn't one of them. Critique the tools and my videos all you want, but keep the politics out of it or find your comments disappeared. Sorry to go there, but it's needed saying for ages, it's getting out of hand. Lightening the mood a bit, I tried something new this year and put together a video talking about design from a woodworker's perspective. Honestly, I thought the video would bomb, but for my channel, it did okay. I had some brilliant feedback and discussion from some of you guys, which really meant a lot as it was quite a personal video for me. So if you were one of those who enjoyed it or engaged with it, then thank you. I have scribbled some notes that could possibly be another couple of instalments on design, so I'd love to hear from any of you, not only if you'd like to see more on the topic, but also what you might like to see covered regarding design. Lastly then, the roadblock I mentioned at the start with regards to my furniture. 2024 was meant to be the year of official launch for the furniture company, but I hit a snag with regards to upholstery. As initially designed, there was a sort of sling secured between the frame upon which would sit a shaped cushion. This hid all fixings, meant the back and underside were clean and seamless, and theoretically meant the cushion was washable, not to mention really comfortable. But the problem was the cushion, specifically getting it to seat precisely and snug up to the internal radii. Even when beautifully made, they just didn't, and after many back and forths and costly trial and errors to find solutions, I had to admit defeat. The original concept wasn't going to work for the upholstery. Early 2025, we'll be trying out and testing a subframe to carry the upholstery. Now this is something I wanted to avoid, but something like this should still function as initially intended, looking seamless whilst being super comfortable, but provide fixing services and contour forming for the upholstery that is much more akin to standard practice. I'll maybe cover the prototypes on the channel, as it'd be something a little different yet interesting, I think. One thing that is going to go some way to helping with the current furniture and upcoming designs is the addition of this small CNC. I've ended up with it partly from convincing Banggood to send me one, and partly because they finally offered one I considered worth blagging of them. This is the Two Trees TTC 450, and considering its price, is what I'd call a proper benchtop or desktop CNC. Normally at this sort of price point, you'd get the 3018 type machines. 3018 meaning a work surface of 300 by 180mm. And while arguably a good little introduction to CNC, they look ropey and the work surface is really quite limiting. The Two Trees 450s have a 450 by 450mm work surface, so a useful size, yet still compact, and is really nicely packaged, looking sleek and professional. Now I'm far from the first to look at these Two Trees machines, as you would see from a cursory glance through YouTube, but most of the reviews from what I've seen aren't really reviews. They're unboxing and running benchmarks and standard or supplied test models. I plan to show you a little more of what it's capable of from my own needs and designs, and to talk a little about the CAD and CAM software I'm trying. But yeah, this little machine is going to make prototyping and making my furniture templates a breeze now, so look forward to sharing more of that with you in the new year. So I'll link a bunch of the videos mentioned in the description below. You can of course find them by going onto my channel page and just scrolling back through the videos. Give them a watch if there's anything you missed. I always appreciate your views and engagement, and hope you'll continue to join me next year. Like, sub, follow and all of that. Happy New Year, and as always, if you made it this far, thanks for watching.